Hey everybody, it is 570 week number 5. Welcome. So, if you were listening to this and it is before April 8th, it is spring break. Spring break is April 3rd to the 7th. So just close this tab and come back in a week. If you are listening to this April 10th through the 16th, welcome. Hopefully before the 16th. It is week 5. We're going to have a good time. Most of this week is some heavier reading, ramping up to week 7 where your reflective practice presentation is due. Inside the tech office here at Hillbrook, by the way, using a pretty fun background, I think. It is Nanoleaf. They have shapes, and it takes a while to actually get them online, but once they're online and they're on the app, you can control them and pick the colors. So I am on brand with our Concordia University Irvine colors. Not sure if you noticed that or appreciated it, but I figure if there's any group of humans that appreciates it, it's those working on EdTech master's work. So you are my people, and you're like, it's good stuff, or I'm wasting your time. Either way, let's jump in, shall we? Week number 5. The big thing you are doing this week is actually reading a case study looking at teacher participation in video-based professional learning communities. So, a video-based PLC, you ask? Why, yes, it is. That's a really big one. I was trying to figure out kind of the talking points. And instead of using ChatGPT, which has a character limit, I downloaded that PDF, uploaded it to Chat PDF, which can do barely anything, but it gives you a couple prompts, and actually got a pretty good overview, I think. The idea is, the PLCs, professional learning communities. You know about recording stuff with video. This has you record a moment of teaching and then bring it to your PLC and get feedback on that. It's an article that has been that has been shared many times. Susanna Stieg is the author of this piece of research, and it's one of those that gets cited quite a bit. It reminds me actually of Alt School. Have you heard of this? For a while it was really, really big and starting to kind of take over and rethink what the school model was. So the idea is that students would get, they call it a playlist, and we actually visited and almost adopted their program. They were just starting to actually kind of franchise out and license out their software. We opted not to because the amount of work required to put into it is more than a single teacher or a teaching team could really handle. But the idea of it was kind of similar to what Stieg's research shows, where Alt School as a whole, and you can skip forward, listen to double speed maybe if you already know all about Alt School, but they would have one teacher on, one teacher off. And the teacher that was off was doing two things, was prepping the next lesson, but also giving feedback to the teacher and to the students in real time. That was kind of the promise. And we actually got to talk with some of the teachers afterwards, and they were pretty frank about it. So the idea of it and what they kind of started off doing and how it connects to this reading is that they would actually wear an earpiece, at a restaurant, table 5 needs to be cleared, and Roger, table 5. I've not worked in a restaurant. I imagine they don't do that, and they probably don't go, talking in their wrist. In my head, they do. And they were basically doing that, where, there was at least one person in the classroom, and it was a pretty low ratio, 12 to 1, 10 to 1 sometimes, and one teacher would be teaching, and the other would be giving feedback in real time, Isabel's off task, redirect on your left, and actually as the teacher's teaching, give real-time feedback, which to me always sounded really futuristic, but is the idea of giving timely feedback to teachers, which is important. Alt School has since gone from almost a dozen schools at one point. I remember even when they were just about to kind of hit their peak, driving through San Francisco, I was like, whoa, there's an Alt School. They have some software now that they are licensing with different schools. And the idea is that because it's so much work, someone at the district basically creates a handful of playlists, like a bunch of lessons. And then teachers and students can kind of pick and choose from those and make their own learning playlist of the day. Didn't quite pan out just because there's so much work that goes into building a lesson for each kid to really know that kid. So what ended up happening in practice is that old school had 2 teachers full-time for 12 students, so it was like a 6-to-1 ratio generally. It took so long to create this playlist that one would be on teaching and the other would be hiding in the corner of the classroom with headphones on, writing out the next week lesson. And so they'd not perfectly, but kind of trade weeks. Where like, I'm off this week, so I'm in the corner of the classroom, like prepping my lesson, building the playlist, writing the lesson plans. It takes a full week, and then the next week, I'm teaching that and giving those kids that choice. So in practice, it ended up being really exhausting for teachers, particularly when it was like kind of this model of like the future of education. So that didn't quite work out, but the idea of getting feedback from people, the idea of having more than one teacher in a room, the idea of other teachers who are experts watching you teach, whether it's in person or through video, which is what this article focuses on, that idea of bringing teacher reflection to a PLC is really interesting. And that's really what this article is about. So I think you're going to enjoy that. Looking again at week 5, you're going to be ramping up lots of reading next week in week 6. You have a reflective practice presentation in week 7, so make sure and look at that Google Doc, look at what is going on. Make sure you're continuing to do your Microsoft Flip weekly reading reflections, and that's what's going on for week number 5. The latest in AI for education news. Look what I just got in the mail. AI for Education, the book. Do you remember that from the movie Spaceballs? Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Spaceballs, the toilet paper. Matt Miller, ditch that textbook guy. Matt is a good human. He is a friend. He knocked out this book. How many pages is it? I've had it for about 5 minutes now. Just over 100 pages. He wrote it in almost a week. I wonder how long it will take for this book to be completely obsolete. I think he recognized that, but they fast-tracked it and legit pushed that out. It's with, Dave Burgess Publishing. Double check. I know he's worked with Dave Burgess before. Thanks to Holly and Ken. Does it not tell us? There's no title page? Yeah, Dave Burgess Consulting. Interesting. Icons used from the Noun Project. Nice. Noun Project's a great resource for good graphics, by the way, if you're looking for good graphics. Yeah, check out that book. It's called AI for Education. There's just so many resources these days. The one thing I've been trying is Descript, as in description, that will take video, give you a transcription, and the way you edit the video is by editing the transcript. So if somebody pauses, says, and then continues talking, if you delete the word it's going to crop that part of the video for you. That's one thing that Descript does. It will also take written word and read it for you. The free version has like 1,000 words it'll read, and you have to start paying if you want it to read obscure words. But the idea that you can take text and then have it read in kind of a Siri style voice. You have like 8 voices to choose from, and here's what's exciting, and here's why I'm bringing it up to you today. You can train it with your own voice that's not shared publicly, that's not put into their AI database. It's kind of lives just on their server, so you don't own it, but it's not shared out beyond that. You read between 10 and 45 minutes, and then it takes your voice. So when you type out a blog post, for example, select it, click read, it will read using your voice, which is pretty wild. I did that, and part of it sounds really, really good. Other parts of it, the intonation is just completely off. If I were to read that sentence and have it go like voice to text to audio, it's a weird sentence. Text to audio, if I were to just type that out, it would be text to audio. It would sound like my voice, but not have the right inflection. Right? It wouldn't have the right inflection. That's how I would say that sentence. So the way I get like really excited talking about a thing, it doesn't have that ability, but the sentence and the phrasing sounded like me talking. Where this starts to get really interesting is you can actually use this for overdubbing. So if I record myself like in a podcast and someone's editing it and I decide later to change what I say, like, can we change that word? You can actually change the transcript and it will add my voice to the original audio recording. So you can like edit, just like you would edit like in a Google Doc, right? And like, let's change this word to that word. And you have somebody editing and publishing something you've written. Matt did that. He didn't edit it all himself. Imagine if that was audio though, an audiobook, and you could edit the voice just by typing the words. This is what Descript does. And it's really impressive for that. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. You may have seen the Reddit post. You can take images and make video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. That's worth Googling if you feel like you need to. And it's just, you look at it and you're like, this is clearly like not realistic in any way. But the fact that someone can like type in to Stable Diffusion Will Smith eating spaghetti and get 20 seconds of video that didn't exist and is very clearly like not realistic, but is close, like you can see where it's going. It's really interesting. So if you're not diving into this, if you're not having conversations with family members, if you have kids, friends, with your own students playing with it, this is the time to jump in and play with it because there's a lot to learn and a lot of changes. My fifth grader just last night was using Canva and realized she could use their new release does AI like image, not clone stamping that Photoshop would do, but like kind of image replacement. And so she found like a photo of like a family room, not our family room, ours is a disaster, but like, couch, giant mirror. She painted out the mirror, typed in beach waves, and where she painted, suddenly it's a picture frame of a beach. So we talked a little bit. She was like, okay, Dad, whatever, ugh. Like the ethics of that and what she's doing and how it's generated. And it's not just like an image search, that it's actually like building an image that has never existed before. It's pretty wild. And that's just with Canva. So if you've not played with Magic Paint or Magic Edit, Magic Write, Canva has been pushing all that really hard. So anyway, enough of a rant with that. Enjoy your readings as much as possible around reflective practice, around video-based PLC reflective practice. I think you're going to enjoy that. If you're listening to this and it's actually week 5, hopefully you had a great spring break from CUI, and look forward to hearing what you're going to be sharing on Microsoft Flip. Happy week 5, everybody.